Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports Wednesday, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. I don't have any pranks to play on anybody here on the show. 1-1 on the show yesterday. We got the Major League Baseball player right with Pittsburgh. Bubba Chandler, I don't know what to say about that performance, dude. He had a no-hit performance. I think he only lasted into the 5th inning. 6 strikeouts, no runs allowed, and he walked 6 guys. I'm like, what is this, A.J. Burnett out there? If you guys remember Burnett when he was on Miami or Florida, I guess, back then. He had a no-hitter where he walked 9 guys or something like that. Yeah, we're not in the day of the full-game no-hitters anymore, which sucks because that's what you want. Unless maybe some of the better pitchers might be able to pull it off. But managers got to leave them in longer, man. So we did have that, and then the hockey game was horrible. The Red Wings got absolutely destroyed. Statistically, the game was closer than the final score looked, but on the scoreboard, they were pretty much never in that game. That sucked big time. So it was a slight losing day. We got to somehow get back on track here, man. We're going to talk about what we have going on today. I'm going to have 2 Major League Baseball plays. The baseball board is weird because usually getaway day is usually like Thursday and I guess Sunday kind of. So you have afternoon games because basically what it means is the teams are going to be traveling throughout the next day. Oh, I guess Wednesday is getaway day because Thursday usually is a smaller slate and tomorrow it really is. So I guess it does make sense. So teams play in the afternoon so they can then travel to their next destination in baseball. So I'm going to talk about baseball first because it's afternoon action. Later afternoon for my actual plays. Baseball, I started looking at the board and I'm like, I'm not going to have any plays today. I don't feel strongly about any of this. Then I got to the bottom of the board and then I had to actually narrow it down because I actually liked like 5 or 6 of the last like 8 games on the board. I'm like, this is pretty insane. So hopefully I narrowed it down to the correct 2. Dude, I better have. And then we're going to talk about NBA. I don't like the NBA board at all. I was right about the Magic last night and not correct about Toronto. So the Magic were the one that I was going to add, though, if I was going to add an NBA play. And that would have given us a winning day if I did it. So I'm not happy about that, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't feel it strongly enough. And they barely covered. Then we had, what else do we have today? We have a very small NHL board today that I don't like at all. And then we're going to talk about the college basketball crown beginning today, which I don't really have a strong enough opinion on those games either, but I'm going to talk about them anyway. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, I got to share my screen here. I'm not prepared. All right. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's go. Baseball, we're getting into it, man. Baseball starting at 12:15 in the afternoon for us here on the East Coast with the A's at Atlanta. I believe Atlanta is I was going to say, I thought Atlanta was on the verge of a sweep, but I'm not right. These teams actually split the first two games, 1-1. The A's actually won yesterday. I do think Atlanta does still have the better bullpen. Atlanta, fairly rested bullpen. A's used more of their bullpen yesterday, so we're going to give Atlanta the bullpen edge here. I think the A's have the better offense. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but, just to clarify where I'm going in my head with these games here. Luis Severino is pitching for the A's, so now we're finally getting into a spot where almost every pitcher on the board does have a start under their belt now, so we can kind of start looking at what has this pitcher done so far, but you don't want to overreact to one outing, man. You definitely don't want to do that. So Severino, what we do know is he was actually really good on the road last year. Like, you put him in that horrible AAA stadium. I think I said spring training stadium yesterday. AAA stadium that the A's playing in Sacramento. He does horrible there. It's a very hitter-friendly park, too, but he was good last year on the road, and he was decent in his first outing against Toronto. He did walk 3 guys, which isn't that great, but a lot of these guys actually walked a lot of guys in their first outings, so I'm not going to put too much weight into any of that. Really, guys, could come out a little bit shaky in their first start, whatever, but he did hold a pretty good Toronto lineup to 2 runs in 5 innings, so he did pretty well. He is pretty good on the road. Against the Braves, he does not have very good numbers, though. An 82 at-bats, 21-6 strikeout walk ratio, 293 batting average allowed, 829 OPS. So those are not good numbers. I'm trying to settle down a little bit, man, because I feel like I really tire myself out going through all these games. So I don't really want Severino in this game. Chris Sale pitching for the Braves. He obviously is the better of the 2 pitchers here. He's getting up there in age. He had a 6-inning shutout performance in his first outing against the Royals, although the A's have a better offense than the Royals. Sale also was walking too many guys in that game 3, but we know who Sale is. We know who both these guys are. They're both veterans. They've been around for a while. Chris Sale against the A's, actually, believe it or not, he doesn't have good numbers against them, but it's a small 28 at-bat sample size. 10 strikeouts is good, 2 walks, 357 batting average allowed, though, and 936 OPS. So they have a lot of hits off him. Interesting. Looking at this game, it looks like the money is sort of coming in towards the under. I kind of disagree, man. Atlanta's up to minus 210 here on the money line. I don't really disagree that Atlanta should win this game. 90% of tickets, 99% of the cash on them. Based on these pitching matchup numbers, though, over might actually kind of make sense in this game because these pitchers are not really as good as you would think, especially Sale against these specific lineups. You don't want to put too much weight into those lineup numbers either. You got to put more weight into them when it's a bigger sample size. We have 67% of tickets, 73% of the cash on the under. Total sitting at 8. Maybe you do find some value taking an over in a Chris Sale game, man, because everybody knows how good he is, and this is not exactly the most advantageous matchup for him. But I don't have a strong opinion on that game at all. Moving on in the afternoon, Texas and Baltimore. Baltimore trying to avoid a sweep at home here. A lot of times when a team is in that type of situation, they will show up with a big effort here. I believe these teams are not playing tomorrow, but I could be wrong about that. So this is the last game of the series. Texas has won the first 2. Texas did actually have Jacob deGrom pitching yesterday. Texas has the better pitching in general, better bullpen. Baltimore has the better offense. Baltimore used a lot of their bullpen yesterday. Well, 4 relievers, I guess. Texas also did. I'm going to give Texas a bullpen edge again here, though, but motivationally, I think Baltimore, because they're at home trying to avoid getting swept, I think you will see a big effort out of them in this game. Nathan Eovaldi is pitching for Texas. He did not do well in his first outing, at least looking at his ERA after that. People are not going to really want him after that, but I think you got to give him a little bit of a pass for it. He gave up 5 runs in less than 5 innings, but it was at Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, they're a really good offense. And he had 7 strikeouts and no walks. So it's not exactly like he was really that bad in that game. He gave up 2 home runs, which pretty much kind of was the tale of that was like basically what happened. And that was the tale of his game there. Like the home runs pretty much ruined his outing. So I'm not going to say that Eovaldi sucks or anything like that at this point. I don't think he does. He had a good season last year. Baltimore is not as good offensively as Philadelphia is, even though they are pretty good. Trevor Rogers pitching for Baltimore. He's having a nice resurgence, man. He was good for Baltimore last year, shockingly good. He had a good outing in his first outing, 7 innings of shutout ball against the Minnesota Twins. The Twins, not a good offense, although Texas isn't really that much better. He did have 4 walks, which was the main concern there. All these guys walking, too many guys in their first outing. This reads as an under game to me. I know the bullpens look like they're a little bit used, so maybe a first 5 inning under, which I don't think I've done that so far this season. Or no, I did once with that Soriano opening game. Jose Soriano, who pitched well again yesterday, by the way. This total has dropped to 8.5. Which is kind of in no man's land. It would have been better if you could get the under 9 on the full game, but I don't love the bullpens here either. 75% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the under. I'd be looking probably first 5 inning under in this one and looking for both starting pitchers to actually do okay here. Although we got to look at the matchup numbers. I'm neglecting that. Actually, Eovaldi not good against Baltimore, 69 at bats. 15-2 strikeout walk ratio is very good, but he's been hit a little bit hard by them. 333 batting average and 801 OPS. So that's not actually that good. Trevor Rogers against Texas. His numbers are mediocre in 76 at bats, 17-8 strikeout walk ratio, not that good. McCutchen really does a lot of damage against him, though 3 home runs off him, and he is older now. Overall, 250 average allowed, 795 OPS is pretty high, though. So, I'm kind of leaning under here in the first 5 innings, but based on these matchup numbers, I definitely want to stay away. If you really want to do it, you could probably get about a 4 on that first 5 inning total there. As far as the money line is concerned, Baltimore dropped from -155 to -112. My guess is that Texas probably had somebody else scheduled to pitch, and then Eovaldi was switched in, and that's why the line would move that much toward Texas. That's the only thing I can really think of there, because I don't think just market action alone did that. 57% of tickets, 57% of the cash, on Texas, 55% of the tickets. So it looks like the money is slightly indicating on the Texas side there. I don't agree with that, actually. I lean to Baltimore in that game to try to avoid the sweep. And actually, perhaps Baltimore is actually the better way to look at that than the first 5 under, now that I refresh my memory about the matchup numbers. But you can see what I was doing in my head earlier this morning. I'm like, I'm not going to have any of these games on my card. You know what I mean? Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Pittsburgh got us the win yesterday with my one baseball play. So I'm happy about that, especially because my other 2 leans didn't get there. So I picked the right game there, even though Chandler wasn't good enough. Pittsburgh did tag Williamson a bit in the game. Pittsburgh did have a 6-1 lead going into the 8th inning in that game and won 8-3, I believe. It got closer. It got to 6-3 at one point, but Pittsburgh put on some runs at the end. Anyway, this game, these teams have split the first 2 games of the series. It's a big divisional series. Pittsburgh, as far as the bullpens, I don't like either bullpen, really. It's tough to even say which bullpen is better at this point. Pittsburgh used 4 relievers. Cincinnati only used 3. I guess I'll give Cincinnati a slight bullpen edge in this one. I'll give Pittsburgh a starting pitching edge because Paul Skeens is pitching here, even though he's coming in with a 67.5 ERA. Dude, the public might not want Skeens after this. And, dude, you don't want to overreact to one outing. Skeens, in his first outing, had his worst outing of his career. Do you really think he's just all of a sudden not good? No way. He's obviously one of the best pitchers in baseball. I'm going to overlook one bad start, especially the first start of the season. Weird things can happen. They could have left him in that game, really. Like, if I was that manager, I probably would have left him in. Just let him settle down. But he got taken out in the first inning. But he's going to give you a much better outing here. I mean, that was totally uncharacteristic. I think people are going to overreact to it. His numbers against the Reds are very good. And 76 at-bats, he has a ridiculously dominant 31-2 strikeout walk ratio against them, a 197 batting average allowed, 468 OPS. Even though this is a hitter-friendly park, I'm guessing I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that Skeens is going to do better in this game than he did in his first outing. Call me crazy. Andrew Abbott pitching for Cincinnati, though, he's actually pretty good as well. He pitched well against the Red Sox in his first outing. He lost pitching duel to Garrett Crochet, but it was the bullpen that lost the game. Abbott went 6 shutout innings. I think 1 run scored. After right after he got taken out, but it got charged to the bullpen, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, he did well though against the Red Sox. Against Pittsburgh, he does not have particularly good numbers, though. In 27 at-bats, 5.2 strikeout walk ratio, 296 average allowed, 863 OPS. So I do like Abbott. I think he is a decent pitcher, but I think you have to give the edge to Paul Skenes here. I'm going to lean towards the Pirates in this one, man. I think people are overreacting to Skenes. You still do have to lay quite a bit of a price here, though. Minus 151. 91% of tickets, 99% of the cash on Pittsburgh. They are still kind of a public side here. It looks like you're still laying a bit of a price here. Abbott is one of the pitchers that Cincinnati has that could theoretically duel Skenes, though, and keep the game close. So that is what I worry about there. The money is coming in on the over for what that's worth. I don't think I like that. The total's at 7.5, which is a low total, and it's low for a reason. That's like the lowest total you'll probably ever see in a Cincinnati game at home. 58% of tickets on the under, 90% of the cash on the over. So I think maybe the money coming in on the over just because of the nature of the ballpark and because Abbott actually doesn't do that well against Pittsburgh. I don't know. With the bullpens being factored in, I could see that game going over by the end of it, but I probably would have a slight lean towards the under in that game just based on that starting pitching matchup. But that's a game I don't want to touch at all. Yeah, that's right. O'Neill. People call him O'Neal. I'm pretty sure it's O'Neill. What do you think? What do you think he is? Like an Irish Puerto Rican, or is he Puerto Rican? I have no idea. He's an Irish Hispanic dude. No, I'm pretty sure his name is O'Neill, as one word. Cruz. Yeah, he was awful in the field. I don't know what that was. Cruz probably should have been charged with 2 errors. So instead, Skenes had to take the brunt of that. I don't know what that was, but I don't think that's going to happen again either. My strongest opinion in that game is probably towards the Pittsburgh side, but I don't really love it. If you think Cincinnati has a slight bullpen edge, Pittsburgh first 5 innings on a run line is potentially on the table as well. If you want to go with Pittsburgh to just have the lead through the first 5 and just go with Skenes there. Washington at Philadelphia. Philadelphia did win barely yesterday. I expected a lot better from Philadelphia yesterday, dude, offensively. Painter was good, which I told you I thought he would be. So that's interesting to see. Painter might actually be a really good pitcher, man. He's been derailed by injuries before his career could even really start. Washington, dude, it's just strange to see that Washington, whatever the fuck they were doing with their pitching yesterday, somehow held Philadelphia to 3 runs. Makes no sense. Philadelphia is clearly the better team here, the way better offense, and I think they have the better bullpen too. They used 3 relief pitchers. Washington actually only used 2, so I thought Washington was going to be using a bullpen for the whole game yesterday, and they actually did not do that. So Poulin, I guess, actually pitched a lot for Washington yesterday. I'm surprised by that, but I'm still going to give Philadelphia a bullpen edge here because I still think Washington's is complete ass. Cade Cavalli is pitching for Washington. He looked like he had an okay outing in his first game, but he wasn't that good. Somehow his team won against the Cubs, but he didn't even last long enough to get the win in that game. He walked 3 guys in 3 2/3 and also allowed 3 hits, 2 earned runs. 5 strikeouts was fine, but that's not exactly an elite performance. I don't trust Cavalli. Philadelphia has seen him before, although they haven't exactly been that great against him. 39 at-bats, 9.2 strikeout walk ratio, 256 average allowed, 677 OPS. Cavalli, he's been okay against Philadelphia, but you have to give the starting pitching edge to Christopher Sanchez. I mean, he's obviously the better pitcher. He was really good in his first outing. He's one of the few guys who didn't walk anybody in his first outing. He shut out Texas for 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. Really good outing for Sanchez, picking up where he left off last year, where he was the guy that was like the first guy left off of the All-Star team, I think, and Philadelphia was complaining about it, if I remember correctly. His numbers against Washington are good as well, in 58 at-bats, 9-3 strikeout walk ratio, 224 average, allowed 516 OPS. You got to give Philadelphia the advantage here, but they are a huge favorite. The money is coming in on them, it looks like, too. They're up to minus 265. I mean, I don't really see much of a way of playing this game other than Philly on the run line, dude. I mean, it's not something that I want to do very often. I know we did get a win doing it with the Cubs in their bounce back game after they lost to Washington. I don't really want to do it here, but that's really the only way that I could see this game going is to run line it with Philadelphia. They should win this game by more than 1 run this time, man. That would be my read on that. It was all earned runs for Skenes, yeah. Basically just because O'Neill did not touch the ball. He's not gay. He doesn't touch balls out there in the outfield. That's why. So, if he had touched the ball in any way, then he would have gotten charged with an error. All right, Colorado at Toronto. We're getting through all these afternoon games that I just don't really love at all. Toronto did bounce back yesterday with a win against Colorado. Obviously, Toronto's the better team here. I'm gonna give Toronto a bullpen edge as well. They got They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, but they're still better than Colorado. Colorado actually used more. They used 4. So yeah, we're giving Toronto the edge in the bullpen. We're giving them the offense edge, of course. It's not even close. Toronto actually is a massive, massive favorite in this game. I think they're the biggest favorite that we've seen so far this season. Yeah, probably. I don't know, because the Dodgers have not faced like an incompetent team like Colorado yet. Although I actually think Colorado might be a little bit better this year than people are going to expect. Kyle Freeland is pitching for the Rockies. I mean, he's fine as far as the Rockies pitchers go. He didn't last 5 innings in his first start. He was okay at Miami, but Toronto is a different animal than Miami, so it's not like I'm expecting Freeland to actually be that good here. His numbers against Toronto are not good. In 43 at-bats, 12.3 strikeout walk ratio is good, but 326 batting average, 835 OPS. Those are high numbers. Not liking what we see with Freeland there. Kevin Gausman pitching for the Blue Jays. He is the better pitcher. He had a really good outing in his first outing, one hitting the A's, which the A's are a talented lineup, dude, and Gausman burned through them for 6 innings. He only gave up 1 hit, which was actually a home run, but he also had 11 strikeouts and no walks. I mean, he was dominant in that outing. And Colorado is worse than the A's significantly, but he actually doesn't have good numbers against the Rockies, believe it or not. In 39 at-bats, a pretty bad 14-9 strikeout walk ratio, though 6 of those walks are Julien. I don't know what's up with that. I don't even know who that is, to be honest. I don't know Colorado's offensive players at all. But Gausman has allowed a 333 average to them and 920 OPS to them. So I got my hesitations with it, man. I really do. Maybe Gausman doesn't do as well as he did in his first outing. I mean, he couldn't possibly really do better. Like his first outing was close to being perfect for the time, the amount of time that he was in there. So, Toronto's minus 287 here. I thought they were actually minus 300. They should win the game, but I don't really see much value in playing Toronto on the side here. I could definitely see an argument for the over, based on the fact that neither pitcher actually has good matchup numbers here. Gausman might be a little bit overrated after what he did in his first outing. 75% of tickets on the over, though. 64% of the cash on the under. Looks like money's coming in towards the under. The total sitting at 7.5. That seems crazy low for a game involving Colorado's pitching in any way. I don't really think we're not looking at elite bullpens here either. Like, Colorado's is bad. So, like, what are we doing here? I don't know. I would lean to an over in that game. Probably would actually be my stronger opinion there, but I don't want to touch it at all. White Sox at Miami. Miami was able to bounce back with an easy 9-2 win yesterday. I told you Miami would win yesterday. I mean, I wasn't going out on a limb with that one. White Sox, not good, although they might be a little bit improved this year. Looks like their offense might be a little bit better. They used only 2 relief pitchers yesterday, so that's not that bad. Miami actually used 4. So Miami, normally I would say they do have a bullpen edge here, but given the rest situation, that kind of counters it a little bit there. Miami does have the better offense. I'll still give them that for now, at least. Shane Smith is pitching for the White Sox. He did not do well in his first outing, but it was against a really good offense, the Brewers, on the road. He only lasted into the second inning. He allowed 3 earned runs. Not a good outing for him. He's better than that. I mean, his numbers last year were actually pretty solid, so I don't think he's that bad. He looks like Robbie the Fire Bernstein, by the way, doesn't he? Smith against Miami, very small sample size, 9 at-bats, 2 strikeouts, no walks, although he has allowed a 444 average and 1,000 OPS to them. So those numbers are not good, but only 4 of their hitters have ever faced him before, man. So it's such a small sample size. I'm not going to say that he's actually bad against Miami. Like, I think he actually does have the potential to pitch well in this game. He's going up against Sandy Alcantara, who we know more about him. He started off the season pretty well, man. 7 innings of shutout ball against the Rockies. The Rockies are bad, but it's not like the White Sox are that much better on offense. But Alcantara, the thing about him is he looked like he was never going to be what he once was after his Tommy John surgery or surgeries. But towards the end of last year, he started pitching better, and he had a good outing in his first outing here. So that is a good sign. Up against the White Sox, his numbers are not great, though. In 24 at-bats, it's still a pretty small sample size. 5-2 strikeout walk ratio, 333 average, and 926 OPS is not that good. I mean, it's really not good, but again, it's a small sample size. A lot of it is because it's a small sample size, and Hayes has a home run off him, so that's kind of skewing the numbers a bit. Overall, I do think this is a decent pitching matchup, and that's why the total is as low as it is. It's 7.5. I'm not really going to disagree with an under in this game. I mean, if you don't really trust the bullpens, maybe a first 5-inning under makes sense, but you're kind of teetering on the edge a little bit there with that because I still have questions about both these pitchers, man, and I don't like the matchup numbers that we just looked at, but they are small sample sizes, so we got to kind of, weigh that appropriately. 81% of tickets, 67% of the cash on the over, so the money kind of indicating towards the under here. Miami looks like they've taken a hit on the money line, down from -167 to -145. Money initially came in towards the White Sox, 86% of tickets, 99% of the cash on Miami. I don't buy that. I do buy that Miami will be a public side, though. But, this is a game, it's a stay away from me completely. As I said, like, all these early games are total stayaways from me. So do with that information what you want. I mean, a first 5-inning under might be my better opinion in that game, but it's very, very dicey. So, and you're probably looking at 3.5 there, which is, there's almost no room for error there. So I don't really like it. ESPN Unlimited game or whatever the hell this is. It's the one TV game, sort of, with everything else on MLB TV. Mets and Cardinals. I mean, why is it this game? I don't know, because the Cardinals are supposed to be bad this year. They won yesterday. Somehow, the Mets did not score anything against Andre Payante. I mean, how is that even possible? I have no idea. I thought that game was going to go over the total. Kodai Senga wasn't that good in the game, so that was correct as far as my read on that game. I don't think he's that good, but St. Louis winning the game 3-0 was not something that I expected. Mets could be in bounce-back mode here. Again, when you get the better team and they're coming off getting shut out by that bad team. That better team a lot of times will bounce back with a better effort. As far as the bullpens, I'm going to give the bullpen edge to the Mets as far as their personnel. They only used one relief pitcher yesterday, too. So, and St. Louis used 4, although... how do you pronounce this guy's name? Graceffo. He probably is available again because he only made 3. Made 3 pitches yesterday. Anyway, I think the Mets have the better offense too, and you got to give them the starting pitching edge here as well. Freddie Peralta is pitching for the Mets. There's a reason why they went and got him over the offseason. He's a veteran pitcher. He was the ace of Milwaukee's staff last year. He's good, dude. He's still not even 30 yet. He didn't have the greatest outing in his first outing against Pittsburgh. That was the game against Paul Skenes, by the way. He outdueled Paul Skenes by lasting 5 innings, and he allowed 2 home runs, 4 earned runs. But I'm giving him a pass for it, man. He had 7 strikeouts, no walks. He wasn't actually bad in that game. He just gave up some untimely power hitting there. So I think Peralta's actually good. I'm not going to look at his ERA here in this case. We know who he is anyway. His numbers are not as good as you would think against St. Louis, though. In 69 at-bats, 15-6 strikeout walk ratio, 275 average, 754 OPS allowed. So that's not exactly that good. Like, I expected his numbers to be better against what I think is a pretty weak St. Louis lineup. So, I lean to the Mets here, but those numbers worry me a little bit, and the price is very, very high on the Mets here. But if you do like the Mets, you're getting to fade Matthew Liberatore, who I don't think is particularly good at all. He did have a pretty decent outing in his first outing against Tampa. He went 5 innings, allowed 1 earned run, but he doesn't strike guys out, really. He was fine in that game, but the Mets are a better offense than Tampa is, and the Mets have pretty much tagged him in the past. 42 at-bats, not a huge sample size, but a decent one. 4-3 strikeout walk ratio, 310 average allowed, 903 OPS allowed. So Liberatore, he's definitely the lesser of the 2 pitchers. I think it's not even that close. His matchup numbers are also worse, so I'm going to have to lean to the Mets in this game. It's just the price is pretty high. They're actually getting faded a little bit in the market, it looks like. They're down to minus 162, 90% of the tickets and only 88% of the cash on the Mets. So the Mets are actually a public road favorite here. And again, I think really it's just because of the price. I think the reason why there's money coming in on St. Louis here is because the feeling is that the Mets are just overpriced in the market. But looking at this matchup here, I just don't see how the Mets lose this game. You know what I mean? So I think the Mets would be my lean in that game, but I don't love going and jumping in, with jumping in on a public side there. That's not something that I really want to do. Tampa Bay at Milwaukee. As we get to about the midway point here, almost every game is in the afternoon. There are 2 night games on. One of my plays is actually in one of the night games. And it's kind of a night-conducive lean in it as well. So you probably know what that means. Tampa Bay, Milwaukee, I actually have somewhat of an opinion in this one. Milwaukee was able to get the win yesterday. The teams have split the first 2 games of the series. We lost on Milwaukee in the first game, unfortunately. Milwaukee did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday. I think Tampa does have the better bullpen. Tampa only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday as well. So I'm going to give Tampa a bullpen edge here. Starting pitching, I think I am not going to give Tampa the edge there. And, of course, Milwaukee has the better offense here. Drew Rasmussen is pitching for Tampa, and he is pretty good. Now, with Rasmussen, Tampa seems to, explicitly take him out after 5 innings in every game. That's just what they do. I don't know why specifically with Rasmussen they do that, but he might have, a huge drop-off, in his outings if they leave him in longer than 5. Maybe that's the case because they're keeping him fresh because he goes through 5 innings. He was really efficient in that first outing against the Cardinals. He only threw 73 pitches, so they could have left him in, but they didn't. They took him out, went to the bullpen, and the bullpen was horrible in that game. Rasmussen gave up 1 run in 5 innings, and they take him out and they lose 9-7 to the Cardinals. I think Tampa Bay's bullpen is better than that, though. So, personally, I probably would have left Rasmussen in for another inning or so in that game, but I'm not Tampa Bay's manager. But that's just what they do, man. He's good. He pretty much gives you 5 good innings pretty much every single outing. That's kind of what you can expect, but he's facing a good Milwaukee offense. They're better than St. Louis, and he hasn't been that good against them in the past. 22 at-bats. I know it's not a big sample size. 4-2 strikeout walk ratio. 318 average allowed them. 1,011 OPS. Contreras and Yelich both have a home run off him. So he hasn't been that good against them. But, I'm not ready to say that Rasmussen is going to be that bad in this game, but he is going up against Les Mis. I hope that's his nickname. I don't know if it is. Jacob Misiorowski, who is, the young phenom for the Brewers who can reach 100 miles an hour and whatever. And he pretty much lived up to the billing in his first outing, although it was against a bad White Sox offense. He went 5 innings. He allowed a home run, and who that home run was. It was that Japanese guy that the White Sox got who's ripping the cover off the ball pretty much right now. But Misiorowski also had 11 strikeouts in 5 innings, 3 walks. But that's also kind of the problem with him is that he throws so hard that he gets a little bit wild, and he throws way too many pitches. Like, he threw 94 pitches in 5 innings. That's not efficient. You know what I mean? Like, for a guy to really, really be a dominant pitcher, he's got to be more efficient than that. And maybe he'll figure that out and start doing that. The Rays have basically never seen him before. Only Williamson has ever faced him before, and he's 0 for 1 off him. So Miz has he's never been seen before by Tampa, so that is an extra edge for Misiorowski. So I do think he has the edge in this game. I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee in this one in the first 5 innings because I do think Tampa Bay, better bullpen and more rested bullpen, so I don't really want to include the bullpens in that. Milwaukee did go all the way up from -108 to -137. Although, believe it or not, I saw some first 5 inning money lines on Milwaukee that actually were cheaper than that. If you want to go Milwaukee to be winning after 5 innings and go -0.5 run, you could really knock the price down to like +100 probably. So I don't mind either way. I mean, that would be my opinion in this game. This is actually the strongest opinion I've had so far. It's really just based off of the matchup numbers, but I do still worry that Rasmussen could come in there and certainly he could come in and duel Misiorowski, but basically with this starting pitching matchup, you're looking at 2 starting pitchers that are probably going to be out of the game after the first 5 innings based on how Tampa pulls Rasmussen at that point, and Misiorowski throws way too many pitches. So first 5 innings is pretty much a really like a straightforward starting pitching handicap. The total is really low at 7, and maybe rightfully so because both pitchers are pretty good. I mean, I'm not really going to disagree with an under in the first 5 innings here. I'd worry a little bit more about the bullpens here, especially Milwaukee's. That's why also with the Milwaukee side, I would want to not include Milwaukee's bullpen in that equation. The less rested and probably lesser bullpen. I don't know why exactly the money line moved up this much on Milwaukee. It might have just been because of a starting pitching change or something, because I don't really see the actual money percentages yet here, or ticket percentage and money percentage. But yeah, I'm gonna lean Milwaukee first 5 innings there, but I don't want to touch the game still. My Boston Red Sox, they got to start turning this around, man. This is getting bad. Brian Bayo sucked yesterday. Hunter Brown was pretty good. I did say I leaned to Houston in that game yesterday, and they won pretty easily. So, yeah, that sucks. I mean, it is what it is. Red Sox, they got to turn it around, but they do have their best pitcher on the mound here, and the only game that they won was the game that he pitched. Believe it or not, the Red Sox were 1-0 at one point. Garrett Crochet on the mound. I still think the Red Sox are a lot better than the record looks right now. People are massively overreacting to this. I'm like, no. Bayo is like the last guy in the rotation. We know that Bayo is not as good as people think he is, but people are giving like Suarez and even Sonny Gray way too much shit right now, in my opinion. And some of these, like, offensive players they got, like Durbin. Like, just shut up, man. You know what I mean? The Red Sox are going to start doing better. Maybe it'll start happening here after a pretty embarrassing loss. Houston only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday, but the Red Sox didn't use that many either. Yeah, the Red Sox used 2. So I think we're looking at 2 pretty rested bullpens here. I do think the Red Sox actually still have the slightly better bullpen here. Garrett Crochet on the mound, obviously, he can get you fairly deep into a game. He went 6 shutout innings at Cincinnati in his first outing, which, Crochet is one of the elite pitchers in baseball. That was against a pretty decent lineup in a hitter-friendly park, and he still went through their lineup pretty much with ease, had 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, good outing from him. His numbers are not good against the Astros, though, in 54 at-bats, so this does worry me. 19-6 strikeout walk ratio is fine, but 370 batting average allowed, 952 OPS. That worries me. A lot of these hitters on the Astros have hit Crochet pretty hard, so that's not good. He's going up against Mike Burrows, who unfortunately we lost backing him in his first outing. He did go 5 2/3 innings, but he allowed 2 home runs, and it kind of unraveled for him a bit. He had 6 strikeouts and 2 walks, which that's not bad. I mean, it kind of indicates his command was fairly good, but he just gave up too many hits, man. He was definitely too hittable in that game against Anaheim, unfortunately. Burrows against the Red Sox, very limited sample size, 11 at-bats. The Red Sox must have faced him when he was on Pittsburgh last year. 1 strikeout, no walks, no extra base hits allowed, but he still allowed them to hit 364 off him, 727 OPS allowed. I mean, I think you got to give the edge to Garrett Crochet, although I know his numbers are not that good against Houston. I still think you got to admit that he's the better pitcher here. Red Sox are at minus 145 here, 84% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the Red Sox. It's not the most expensive price you're going to see with Crochet on the mound this year. I'm probably going to lean slightly towards the Red Sox in this one. I don't really have a good read on the game otherwise. Again, I do really worry that his matchup numbers are just really not good against Houston, man. So I could see him not having the best outing in that game, and that does definitely concern me. It looks like initially there was a move heavily towards the under from 8.5 down to 7 on the total. But 81% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the over. I mean, an under makes sense to some extent in that you have a really good pitcher up against a pitcher who's pretty unfamiliar to the opposing lineup. And 2 pretty good bullpens that are pretty rested. So I can see some arguments for an under in that game. Total is really giving you almost no leeway there at 7. So that's a stay away. The next game up is actually one of my plays, though. And in Anaheim and Chicago. And looking at the game right away, you might actually know what it is. I think you know what I'm going to do here, man. Maybe I'm too predictable, but we're going to take the Cubs on the run line at minus 1. If you want to do a split bet, partially on the minus 1.5 run line at plus money and partially on the money line, you could do it that way too. A lot of books offer the minus 1 run line, though I saw it out there at about minus 117. But again, if you do line shopping and you do the split bet, it's basically like you're making your own minus 1 run line, and you might be able to knock the price down a little bit more that way, which does make sense. But we're going to go with Chicago here, man. They lost 2-0 to Anaheim yesterday, man. And Jose Soriano was on the mound. He continued to be really good on the road. I mean, what else can we say? I talked about that game yesterday, and I told you Soriano is a good road pitcher, and he pitched really well yesterday. But now that the Cubs are the better team, and they're coming off getting shut out 2-0, I mean, come on, man. There's no way the Cubs are going to get shut out again in this game. Now, if you wanted to go with the Cubs over their team total, I'm not going to disagree with that either. I think they are going to hit Anaheim here. But I actually like the side because I think that you're actually going to get more of a disparity in this pitching matchup that people are going to think. Like, people are going to overreact to the first outing for these 2 pitchers. And I like that, coming in, fading that overreaction. What's really insane, though, is the total here is 6. What are we doing here, man? I mean, obviously, the odds makers are not throwing money away. They're going to put the total low for a reason. But 6 is insane. I mean, that must mean you have insane wind blowing in off of Lake Michigan here into the stadium. Like, even at Wrigley Field, you're usually never going to see a number that's below 7. I mean, that is insane. And given that Kikuchi is pitching for Anaheim, I would not go under that. There's no way. There is no way that I would go under that number. Now, Anaheim, their bullpen's not good. They used 3 relievers yesterday. The Cubs have the better bullpen. They used, mostly two relievers yesterday, so I think we're going to give the Cubs a bullpen edge here, not just because it's the better bullpen, but I think they're more rested. They used Ben Brown to eat up some innings yesterday, so I like how the Cubs bullpen sets up here. And you know me, I do not like Kikuchi. People are going to look at him and think, oh, he was actually pretty good in his first outing. He held Houston to 2 earned runs. That's pretty good, right? And yes, I know we lost on that game, but Kikuchi was skating on thin ice that whole time, dude. He gave up 8 hits and 1 walk in 4 1/3 innings. He put 9 guys on base and gave up a home run, and somehow only 2 runs scored. That's ridiculous. Like, he should have allowed like 4 or 5 runs in that outing. You can't put that many guys on base. He put more than 2 guys on base an inning, and he somehow got out of there, only allowed 2 earned runs. Yeah, no. He's on thin ice, and he's not good on the road. If you look at what he did last year, throughout his career, he's been awful on the road. Last year, he had a 5+ ERA on the road. That's where he is now. The Cubs actually have not hit him. The Cubs, the numbers are kind of all over the place. 39 at-bats, so the Cubs haven't seen him that much, but I'm willing to fade Kikuchi anyway because, dude, he's been in the league for years. There's tape on him. Everybody knows what to expect pretty much out of him. The Cubs have 11 strikeouts and 8 walks against him, although granted, all 8 walks are Alex Bregman, who absolutely destroys him. But the Cubs do only have a 205 average against him, but an 853 OPS. So overall, they have gotten to him, although it's mostly Bregman. But I'm mostly faded Kikuchi because I think he sucks, and he sucks on the road. And I think we're going to get a bounce back from Chicago, and I think we're going to get a bounce back from Matthew Boyd. Nobody's going to want to play Boyd, dude, after he has a 14.73 ERA right now because he gave up 6 earned runs in his first outing against a bad Washington team. But, dude, I mean, he just came out and he was putting too many pitches over the plate, and that is what it was. He had 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. So that's not bad. Like, his command was there. Like, which one of the 2 pitchers here had a better outing in the first outing? Like, people are going to look at it and say Kikuchi did because he didn't allow as many runs. But no, I'm going to disagree with that because Boyd had the way better strikeout walk ratio in the game, and I think that's more indicative of what actually happened. Boyd was way better last year, of course, too. Although I think he overperformed last year. Like, usually you don't see a guy in his mid-30s come from out of nowhere and pitch that well. And I know I said that going into his first game this year, I wasn't that high on him in his first game this year, but I am high on him in this game to bounce back. Last year, he was really good at home, 2.51 ERA at home last year with the Cubs. So, you know, he's in that same environment here. And his numbers against Anaheim are pretty good. In 66 at-bats, 29-8 strikeout walk ratio, 197 average allowed, 572 OPS allowed. So he's pretty much dominated Anaheim. So I like that. You got to give the edge to the Cubs, I think, across the board here, man. Bullpen, starting pitching, hitting-wise, we're going to do it. They're at minus 158 on the money line right now. Again, I would go either do what I'm doing here or make your own -1 run line and split it between the 1.5 run line and money line. I know we have a crazy low total here, so there is a decent chance the Cubs only win by 1, and then in that case you get your money back. But I just don't see them losing this game, man. I really don't. And I think, again, you get this situation where one of these pitchers is clearly way better than the other, has way better home road splits in their favor as well, and better matchup numbers even as well. And people are going to be misled, like looking at one outing that you've gotten from each of these starters so far. People are going to overreact to that one outing, you know what I mean? So we're going to go with the Cubs there. All right. Detroit at Arizona. Detroit blew the game yesterday. I mentioned I liked Detroit yesterday. I don't know what's going on with this. Why are you giving your manager a Gatorade bath, dude? Is that the manager? Maybe that's not the manager. Maybe that's one of their. Maybe that's Fernandez. Dude, I don't know what these guys look like. I apologize. I have no idea, but maybe that's Fernandez. Why are you giving somebody a Gatorade bath, dude? You know what I mean? Like, you just won 1 game against the Tigers. Well, then now they've won 2, but still, it's kind of ridiculous. Now, I don't think the Dbacks are that good. They made a comeback late because I know I looked at that score, and the Tigers were winning that game 5-3 in like the 8th inning or something. So I was like, oh, Detroit looks like they're probably going to win. Nope, Arizona scored late and won the game, but I am not buying what we're seeing out of Arizona here. Arizona's bullpen especially is really bad. Their offense is good. I'm not going to deny that, but Arizona's pitching has some major issues, man. And now they're looking for a sweep against Detroit. So you know Detroit is going to be motivated here to avoid the sweep. And Detroit is actually the better team trying to avoid the sweep. So I think you're going to get a good effort out of Detroit here. Detroit has the better bullpen. Their offense is okay, even though I'd probably argue that Arizona's is better. Detroit only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona also used 2, but Arizona's bullpen is one of the worst in baseball, so they're not a good bullpen. And Detroit has Skubal on the mound. I mean, come on, man. I would argue he's the best pitcher in baseball. He's on the mound trying to avoid the sweep here with Detroit. You're likely to get a good outing out of him. I know he's coming off a 6-inning shutout with 6 strikeouts, no walks against the Padres. Actually, he gave up 1 unearned run in that game. My mistake. That was, the Padres, they're an okay offense, and they play in a pitcher-friendly park, so now he is playing in a hitter-friendly park here against a better offense. So, yeah, you could make the argument he's not going to be quite as good in this outing as he was in that one, but he's still Skubal, man. I mean, come on. And Arizona has not done that well against him at all. In 36 at-bats, 11-2 strikeout walk ratio. That is a ton of strikeouts. 167 average allowed, 461 OPS. Skubal has pretty much dominated them, so I think you will get a good outing out of Skubal here. He's going up against Zach Gallen. Now, I don't think Gallen is as bad as his numbers look right now. He got tagged by the Dodgers in his first outing. We know the Dodgers, they're an elite offense, probably the best in baseball, especially in L.A. Gallen went 4 innings, gave up 4 earned runs. I'm not going to give him much crap for that. Last year, he wasn't very good overall, but if you look at his career stats, he is better than what we got out of him last year. So I think he might give us a little bit of a better outing here, but his numbers are not good against Detroit. He's obviously nowhere near the level of Skubal. 40 at-bats, 12-2 strikeout walk ratio. That's not bad, but 300 batting average allowed to Detroit, 876 OPS allowed. So Detroit has been able to get to him. I could only see leaning towards Detroit in this one, man, but I don't really want to lay the price with it, man. You know you're getting charged a premium if you want to play Skubal, and that's the issue that I have with it. 93% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Detroit here. I just think they have the upper hand, though, so I don't really see a better way of looking at this game. And, I mean, you could go, like, Arizona under their team total. The total's kind of shockingly low. It's 7.5. That's because Skubal's on the mound. If you want to go with Skubal to burn through Arizona and go with Arizona to go under their team total, maybe you'll be able to get that one right. That might be actually that's an approach to at least consider in this game. I'd probably still actually money line it or something with Detroit here. I don't love these run lines, but at least if you do a run line though on the road team, you're getting full 9 innings of at bats from them though. You know what I mean? So if they're up 1 going into the 9th inning, they have the ability to still pad the lead and get you the win. But I'm not touching it. I do think you're being charged a little bit too much, although the price did drop from minus 173 to minus 155. 93% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Detroit there. All right, Yankees at Seattle. Now we're getting into my stronger opinions here, other than the fact that I already gave you a play on the Cubs. But I do have an opinion on this game. We're getting into the later afternoon games here, Now, every game in this series has gone under so far, but I actually like the under in this game, too. The Yankees had a shutout yesterday, unfortunately, but I told you the Yankees were going to win yesterday with Fried on the mound against Gilbert. Definitely a matchup advantage to the Yankees there. I like the under in this game, though. So I think we have 2 bullpens that are decent, at least. Seattle's, I would say, is probably good. The Yankees, we still don't really know. Yankees, not a good bullpen last year, but they did cut some of those guys. The bullpens are pretty rested, though. Both bullpens only had 2 guys come out of the bullpen last night. So we have rested bullpens here. Both offenses are good, so the public's going to come in. Like I said, we won with the under in the first game of this series, remember? I gave that out as a play. And like I said then, the public is going to look at this and be like, we're going to have to, like, the public's going to take an over. You know what I mean? Because it's Yankees, Seattle. They know both these offenses are good, and that's true. So the public's only going to want to play an over here. Now, I worry a little bit because every game has gone under so far, but maybe that trend will continue here. And if you look at the starting pitching matchup, it looks pretty under-conducive to me. Heil Schlittler is pitching for the Yankees here. He was good in his debut at San Francisco. The Seattle's going to be a more of a test than San Francisco was. But both parks are pitcher-friendly ballparks, though. Schlittler shut out San Francisco for 5 1/3, 8 strikeouts, no walks. They pulled him after only 68 pitches, so he could have stayed in the game longer, but the Yankees didn't want to overwork him, so it kind of made sense that they pulled him there. Schlittler against Seattle, 14 at-bats, very small sample size, but he's been really good against them. 6-0 strikeout walk ratio, 143 average allowed, 357 OPS, so he's done well in a small sample size against Seattle. Seattle's got George Kirby on the mound. I consider him to be very matchup dependent, though, because he does have, like, occasional starts where he gets absolutely destroyed, but he was good at home last year. He was way better at home than on the road, like most Seattle pitchers are. He had a 3.38 home ERA last year. He's coming off a good start against Cleveland, although obviously the Yankees are a way better offense than Cleveland. But good sign that Kirby pitched well in that game. 6 innings, 1 earned run allowed, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. He threw more pitches than Schlittler did. But Kirby, he's not as young, so he's more, like ready to go, if you want to call it that, although he's been dealing with some injuries over the last season or so. Kirby, believe it or not, has really good numbers against the Yankees. They're only 3 for 31 off him, although one of those hits is a home run from Grichuk, but 7 strikeouts, that's not that many strikeouts, but no walks, 0.97 batting average allowed, and 323 OPS, so Kirby has done shockingly well against the Yankees, given how good their lineup is. And in a sample size, it's a decent size there. Kirby has done really well against them, so I do like the under in this game. This one is very close to being a play for me. The money is all coming in on the under as well. 72% of tickets on the over, 72% of the cash on the under. Total has dropped to 7. You can get, I think, you might still be able to get 7.5 on this. And as far as the side, the money's actually indicating on the Mariners here. 73% of tickets and only 65% of the cash on the Yankees. So the public is siding with the Yankees, especially probably because they saw the Yankees win last night in a shutout. And because they like Schlittler more than Kirby, probably, I guess. But Seattle sitting at minus 113. The market read is saying Seattle here, but obviously, I like the under in this one quite a bit, actually. I'm considering it right now, I like it. I like 3 unders today, and this is one of them, and I'm heavily considering it here. I already forget what the other one was, though. Man. Kirby's numbers are just really good, and the fact that the money is coming in indicating on Seattle kind of indicates that the professionals think that Kirby is going to pitch well in this one. And it kind of makes sense to lean towards Seattle as far as like a bounce back after getting shut out and whatever. Seattle does have the better bullpen still, in my opinion. Oh, man. You know what? Let's do it. Let's add another play. We're going to have 3 baseball plays here. Where is this thing at? Yeah, let's do it. Let's go under in this one here. Let me see what's the best number that we can get here. We're including the bullpens here. You have to pay a bit too much, I think, in my opinion, for the under 7.5. Although under 7, you can find it like a really ridiculous price. But yeah, all right. Under 7, I see it at plus 105 out there right now. 7 is, of course, the key number in baseball because, it's how you break the 3-3 tie. Oh, hold on. I'm putting it into the system right now, man. So a lot of baseball plays for me today. We do a lot of baseball on this show, man. Decent quantity in baseball. It's a decent volume because I do totals. There you go. Yankees, Seattle, under 7. That I see at plus 105 out there. If you wanted to pay them, I see it at minus 122 for the under 7.5. Both of these best numbers are at, well, am I allowed to say it? The book that starts with an M and ends with a GM. The book with the lion. I don't know. But yes, that would be my opinion in that game. Not an opinion. We're going to add it as a play. Under in Yankees, Seattle. Going back to the well with that one. San Francisco, San Diego, another pitcher-friendly park here. And I actually like the under in this game as well. This game, you have two really good bullpens. San Francisco and Seattle, at least based off of, or San Francisco, San Diego, excuse me. At least based off of what we saw last year. San Francisco used 2 relievers. San Diego used 4, though. So it's getting a little bit more dicey with San Diego's bullpen here, given the usage last night. San Francisco did win the game last night. They won, I think, 9-3 or something with Logan Webb on the mound, giving them a decent performance there. I leaned towards San Francisco in that game as well. I believe San Francisco has won both games in the series. Let me see. Yeah, so San Diego is going to try to avoid the sweep here. So that is maybe a reason to look towards San Diego here to try to avoid the sweep. Now, I think there are a few other reasons to like San Diego here as well, although I don't like the bullpen, though. That's kind of the problem right now. The bullpen rest edge has got to go to San Francisco here. San Diego does have the better offense, though. As far as the starting pitching, Adrian Hauser is pitching for the Giants. He had a decent season last year, and he's moved around. He was not on the Giants last year, I don't believe. He got traded around a little bit. I think he's a little bit underrated, though. I think he's an okay pitcher. Now, he's getting to pitch at a pitcher-friendly park here, too, which is good. But he hasn't pitched yet this season, so I think on the San Diego side, because Pivetta is pitching for them and he already has a game under his belt, I think that is an advantage to him. And I mentioned that yesterday. Houston had that advantage yesterday with Hunter Brown. Bayo hadn't pitched yet, and Brown had. Houston won. There was also that edge with, who else was it? I'm trying to remember now. I believe Jose Soriano might have had that edge against whoever the hell was pitching for Chicago, the Cubs, yesterday. So that one wound up being a winner as well. So, yeah. So in some of these cases, yeah, it did turn out. I think those spots went 2-1 yesterday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, so there is a little bit of an advantage when a starting pitcher has already pitched once up against a pitcher that hasn't pitched yet during the regular season, although I don't think Hauser is going to be that bad. His numbers against San Diego are pretty good in 62 at-bats, 16-4 strikeout walk ratio, 226 average allowed, 628 OPS allowed. So I think he will actually do okay. He's going up against Pivetta, who, like I said, already had one outing, and people are going to probably shy away from Pivetta because he didn't do well in that outing. It was against Detroit. Now, Detroit is a way better offense than San Francisco. And yeah, Pivetta didn't do well. He struggled. He gave up 6 earned runs on 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. That isn't good, but the good thing is Pivetta's pitching at home in a pitcher-friendly park. You can't take too much away from one start, man, because a lot of times these guys will struggle in their first start. They got to get that out of the way, and then they'll be off to the races after that. We know that Pivetta pitched really well at home last year with San Diego. So I think he will return to form, at least to some extent in this game here. He's going up against a weaker offense, like I said, and he's done pretty well against them in the past. 113 at-bats against San Francisco. A really good 38-7 strikeout walk ratio against them. 239 batting average allowed is low. 708 OPS is getting a little bit high because he's allowed a lot of doubles, 10 doubles and 3 home runs. So he does give up some hard hits to them, but overall I think Pivetta is going to pitch well in this one. I prefer the under in this game, although I think are probably a few question marks with this one. So I like this one the least out of the 3 unders that I'm about to talk about here, which, of course, because this is the one I'm leaving off my card, so you know that. 55% of tickets, 62% of the cash on the under. I do like the under. If you worry about San Diego's bullpen being too used, you could look under first 5 innings. I wouldn't disagree with that either. And I lean to the San Diego side, but I would probably limit that to the first 5 innings because I just don't want to deal with their bullpen being a little bit too unrested. But I think San Diego, they should be in bounce back mode. And again, when a team's trying to avoid a sweep, you will get that like full game of effort out of them usually. So if you did want to go San Diego, money line, full game, I'm not going to tell you to not do that. 89% of tickets, 99% of the cash on San Diego. I would just prefer, in this case, the first 5 innings a little bit more there. With Pivetta having a game under his belt, probably having people shy away from him a little bit because his first outing wasn't good. Although I don't think the public is going to want Hauser either. So that's the other thing about liking the under here. The public, they're not going to play on Adrian Hauser. They don't know who he is, whatever. Nick Pivetta, they know who he is, but they might shy away from him because he wasn't good in his first outing. So that might give us a little bit of value on the under in that game as well. So yes, I like the under more than the side in that game. Probably prefer it first 5 inning though. Next game up is my other play, my final play. We're going under in Minnesota, Kansas City. Now, I know Kansas City, they moved their outfield walls in a bit, but we don't really have much to go on so far with Kansas City. They've only played 1 game so far at home, and it was an under, 3-1. I told you, the total in that game was like 9.5. I'm like, why? I told you that I thought the total was skewed too much in the direction of the over, just because of the wall being moved in. I don't think you take like a stadium like Kauffman Stadium, which is very pitcher friendly, move the wall in a couple of feet, and then it becomes like a home run derby. I don't think that's really the case here. You're also looking at, in this case, you're looking at 2 offenses that aren't that good. So this already, I'm looking at this, and this has underwritten all over it. And it's even better because both teams didn't play yesterday. So we have 2 rested bullpens here. And now I don't like Minnesota's bullpen, but I do like Kansas City's, but you have 2 totally rested bullpens. So every reliever is at both teams' disposal here. I almost said exposal. That's not good. So I like that. Kansas City did win the first game of the series 2 days ago. Very weird. These teams didn't play yesterday. Very weird schedule at the beginning of the season for baseball here, man. But again, because we have this weird scheduling quirk where both teams were off yesterday, I think that helps us with an under because when the hitters have a day off, they can cool off a little bit, and they might come out a little bit colder. And again, the bullpens are rested. We're looking at a night game here as well. So, night game, cooler environment usually is more under conducive. It's going to be 60 degrees and cloudy, it looks like. So that's a little bit, under-ish weather there. It's not exactly cold or cool, but, it's not a hot environment by any means. So that seems under-friendly as well. And look at the starting pitching matchup. Joe Ryan is pitching for the Twins. I mean, he's their ace. He pitched well in his first outing, went 5 shutout innings, 5 1/3 against Baltimore. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. I mean, he's pretty much picking up where he left off. That's a good sign. And against the Royals, he's pretty much dominated them. We have a big sample size here, but the Royals, their offense is just not that good. 110 at-bats. He has 24 strikeouts, 8 walks against them, which, I'd like that to be a little bit of a better ratio, but he's held them to a 191 batting average of 582 OPS. Those are really good numbers for a large sample size like that. So Ryan has done well against Kansas City, as familiar as they are with them. And on the other side, Noah Cameron, one of my favorite guys to bet on last year, man, because he just went totally under the radar because nobody knows who he is. He's like the most talented young pitcher in the Royals rotation. Shout out to Zach, wherever he is right now. Now, Cameron is coming in cold here. He hasn't pitched yet this season. I don't know why. Why his start to the season got a little bit delayed here. But he pitched last year, man, so I think he should be ready to go. I'm not too concerned about that. There is the concern that maybe he'll be a little bit shaky because it's his first game, but he's good enough that I think he will give us a good effort here. And his numbers against Minnesota are pretty good. And 29 at-bats, yes, they did see him last year, but 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, only 1 extra base hit allowed. 207 batting average allowed and a very low 475 OPS allowed. So I like that. I think Cameron should be able to pitch well against this Minnesota lineup again. They haven't been good against them in the past, and they're a weak lineup anyway. So I like this one. Under. This is my favorite of the 3 unders. We're getting under 8.5 here, too. And I found it at minus 113. 73% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the under. The money is coming in on the under here. And again, we're looking at a total that, like, last year in this same stadium with this same pitching matchup, this total probably would have been 7.5. And now we're looking at 8.5 here. Why? You know what I mean? Just, again, because Kansas City moved the walls in. We still don't even know what effect that's going to have. And, yeah, that's a little bit of a risk here, I guess. But looking at the first game that Kansas City had at home, it was a complete under in that game. So I don't really know that the walls are going to really have that much of an effect, especially early in the season. Early in the season, the pitchers usually still are better off than the hitters are. We're starting to see a lot of unders come in. After we had that one day, like the official opening day was very over heavy, but since then, a lot of unders have been hitting. So we're going under in this one, man. Yeah, again, I think this one has under written all over it, and I think we're getting a little bit of value on that number too because of the, whatever you want to call it, the hype surrounding the wall being moved in Kansas City. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. But, it's stupid because, like, the wall's getting moved in because, your park is too pitcher-friendly. Like, we need this game to, like, baseball needs to be more entertaining, man. Like, what are we going to do? We're going to move the walls in Seattle and San Diego, too, and San Francisco? I don't like it, man. I really don't. But I like the under in that game for sure. And then the last game is, not a game that I'm interested in. Cleveland at the Dodgers. The Dodgers bounced back with a win last night. Not surprising, really. 4-1. Obviously, the Dodgers are the better team. They have the way better offense. There's no question about that. Although, Cleveland does have the better bullpen, in my opinion, so I will give them that, at least until we see otherwise. If there is a situation where we might be proven wrong. I don't think so, though. The Dodgers used 3 relievers yesterday. Cleveland used 2. I'm giving Cleveland a bullpen edge in this one. But you got to give the Dodgers the starting pitching edge here. Gavin Williams is pitching for Cleveland. He's not bad, but he had way too many walks in his first outing. 6 walks against Seattle. That's not good. I mean, he did hold them off the board pretty much, though, because he only allowed 2 hits in the game. So he held Seattle to 3 earned runs, which was decent-ish. I think he's an okay pitcher. Against the Dodgers, he's struggled, though. 30 at-bats. This is ridiculous. His strikeout-walk ratio, and no, I'm not inverting this, his strikeout-walk ratio against the Dodgers is 1-9. Yeah, I'm not inverting that. 1 strikeout, 9 walks in his career against the Dodgers. I haven't really seen anything like that before. That is obviously not good, although he might have some intentional walks in there, but still, yeah, that's not good. 330 batting average allowed, 333, and 954 OPS allowed. So the Dodgers, yeah, they've been able to get offense going against them. Let's just put it that way. Yamamoto is pitching for the Dodgers. He's good. I mean, there's not much to say about that. He did well against a pretty good Arizona lineup in his first outing. 6 innings, 2 earned runs allowed, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Good outing from him in that one. Cleveland does not have as good of an offense as Arizona does. His numbers against Cleveland in the past, it's a small sample size, 17 at-bats, but he's done well against them. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 176 batting average allowed, 458 OPS allowed. Yamamoto has done well against them, so that's really all I could say, man. I mean, I have to lean to the Dodgers in this game, but how you want to approach that game, I don't know, man. They're up to minus 255. I mean, I guess it would be a Dodgers minus 1.5 on the run line there is what makes sense to me in that game. I mean, if you wanted to limit it to the starting pitching, though, because I think Cleveland might have the better bullpen here. Like I said, you could go Dodgers run line first 5 innings and maybe knock that price down, get like a minus 1 run line on that. So as long as they're winning by 1 run at the end of 5, you'll at least get your money back. Maybe that's a way of doing it. Or, actually, you know what? Probably the best way to do this is Cleveland under their team total. But even that, you might want to go under their team total in the first 5 innings and get really granular with it, just because I just don't like the Dodgers bullpen. So you can see why I kind of struggled with this game. I just don't want to deal with it. So, yeah. But, I do think, simplification, I do think Dodgers run line is also, maybe worth considering in that game. All right, that's baseball. We're going to go to hockey in a second, and I still got to talk about NBA and the college basketball crown, which I'm sure that's very interesting to everybody. It's a wild situation, man. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back in a second, and then we'll talk about the rest of these games. There aren't really that many games left to talk about, so hopefully we can get this done. All right, I'm back. Um, no, I just took my usual break. All right, let's get into hockey here. Finish this off, man. We only have 3 hockey games. I don't like any of these games, so it's gonna be quick. You could hear me when I was talking about the rest of the baseball, right? I talked about the Dodgers last, hopefully. All right, Vancouver and Colorado, I mean, this is the biggest line that you'll see in hockey all year. I mean, this is literally the best team in hockey at home against the worst team in hockey. This is ridiculous. But, you know, the price is probably too heavy. Vancouver has lost, 6 games in a row. They're probably going to at least try to show up for a game against Colorado because Vancouver doesn't have anything to play for at this point. So maybe this is a game they're going to get up for. Colorado, they're playing out the stretch, and they're already almost locked into the 1 seed, pretty much like home ice throughout the playoffs, whatever. They're also coming off a 9-2 win against Calgary. Might be feeling a little high on themselves. And they have a TV game up next on Saturday against Dallas. So that's a pretty big look ahead as well. So I would lean to Vancouver in this game, man. I don't know what the puck line looks like here because Colorado's minus 450 in this game. I mean, if you want to take Vancouver, I'm actually interested because this line is so insane. Let me see here. I'm not going to actually give it out as a play, but hold on. Let me see. What can we get on the puck line on the Canucks here? You can get plus 2.5 at minus 115. I see out there right now. Actually, minus 110 at the M book. So, yeah, if you wanted to do that, that's the way I would play it. Plus 2.5 on the puck line against Vancouver. When do you ever get that as like a spread play? That's what I would... Actually, you know what? That's close to being, a play for me. I will actually say. It's just so ridiculous. I still don't want to do it, though. St. Louis, and you might get like an empty net goal or something that could ruin the whole thing for you. Although that's not a reason to not play one of those games, but yeah. I was also looking at Weezer tickets as well, even though I can't really even afford anything right now. They're one of my favorite bands, so I got to see what I can do about that. St. Louis and the Kings, they're in pre-sale right now, man. St. Louis, they have nothing left to play for, so... But actually, you know what? I don't want to say that. St. Louis actually... technically is not eliminated yet. They're actually not that far behind these teams that are fighting to get into the playoffs. So I guess you could make the argument St. Louis does still have motivation here. They did just lose a 4-game win streak, lost to San Jose. Maybe they will show up because Anaheim is ahead of them in the standings. Not Anaheim, LA. What am I saying? LA, the LA Kings. Anaheim's playing tonight as well. But LA... they're staying at home, and they're coming off a gross loss to Utah, 6-2. L.A., the last playoff spot has kind of been right there for the taking because Nashville is playing so bad. L.A. could have just taken that spot over, but instead they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Although, granted, they did have some overtime losses in there, so... actually, 5 of their last 6 games, my mistake. But those overtime losses at least did give them some points. But still... I think they're going to be in bounce-back mode after that bad Utah loss. The Kings are literally like 1 point out of the last playoff spot right now behind Nashville, so I think they will have a lot of motivation here. St. Louis is not that far behind them, though, like I said, so they might have motivation as well, I think. The money is coming in on the Kings, though. 67% of tickets are on St. Louis, 67% of the cash on L.A. L.A. at minus 137 here. I agree with the Kings in this one, but not really a strong opinion here. And as you know, I always point out the Kings are not very good at home, so that's another slight issue there. But it's not a reason, in of itself to never play them in a home game. You know what I mean? That would be kind of crazy. And they're not as bad as the Rangers, at least. So those are my thoughts on that. Anaheim at San Jose is the last game. TNT, True TV, HBO Max. Anaheim is winning their division right now, so they're pretty safe as far as making the playoffs. So they might not have that much to play for here. They did just return home from a road trip, and they lost to Toronto. I mentioned that was a difficult spot. Returning home from the road, having to go back out on the road right after that, playing a team that they were probably going to overlook. They lost to Toronto. Maybe they will bounce back in this game, but really they don't have that much to play for at this point because they pretty much know they're going to be in the playoffs here. San Jose, I think, is not totally out of it yet, so San Jose might give you an effort here. They return home from the road in their last game as well, but they're actually staying at home. And they got by St. Louis in that game. I thought St. Louis was the right side in that game, I think. San Jose did get the win, but they're not going to overlook Anaheim in a TV game. Anaheim winning their division, I'm pretty sure, which I thought San Jose might be looking ahead to this game in their last game there, which is why I think I gave out St. Louis as a lean in that last game. But, yeah, I would lean to San Jose in this one, man. There's not much of a chance they're going to make the playoffs at this point, but Anaheim is pretty safely in. And Anaheim's not very good on the road either. That's another thing to consider. Anaheim is below 500 on the road. They're at only minus 112. It looks pretty easy to play Anaheim here. 75% of tickets on them, 57% of the cash on San Jose. I agree with that money there. I would lean San Jose in that game. All right, NBA. Yeah, we do have a good amount of NBA here. Fuck, this is going to be a long show. My God. Dude, baseball takes way too much. Oh, my God. I'm going to be happy once the regular season is over here for these other sports. Philadelphia at Washington. I mean, this is a game. Washington, they're just playing out the stretch. Like, will they actually get up for this game? I don't know. Philadelphia is at full strength again, and Philadelphia is trying to avoid having to play in the play-in at this point. So Philadelphia does have some motivation here. They did just lose to Miami in their last game. But, Washington's an easy team to overlook, too. Washington, though, they're returning home from a road trip, but that's not good. They were out on the West Coast, so they've been on the road, actually, since Sunday, March 22nd, although they were in New York for that one. But then they went to elevation and went all the way out to the West Coast. So, return home spot, a lot of times the team won't do well when they return home. They'll be distracted. They have to get back to home life. Maybe Philadelphia is not enough to get them up for this game. But Philadelphia's laying 15.5 points here. I'm not going to lay that on the road. No way. There are some situations where I would recommend it. Very, very rare, but not this one. 63% of tickets, 61% of the cash on the Sixers. So the money is kind of indicating on taking the points of the Wizards. I certainly don't want to do that either, though. Philadelphia, they at least have some motivation here. I might have a slight lean towards laying the points in that one, as bad as that seems, but, I don't want to do anything with that game at all. Atlanta at Orlando is a more interesting game. These teams are fighting for playoff positioning here. They're both trying to avoid the play-in games as well. Atlanta coming off a big win over the Celtics, though, so this could be a little bit of a letdown spot, even though they shouldn't overlook Orlando, but Orlando's way behind them in the standings right now, and they did just beat Orlando by 12 on the 16th in Atlanta, so Orlando might have some adjustments to make here. Orlando still is going to be without Franz Wagner, dude. Like, he's supposed to be close to coming back, but he's not back yet. And the problem with Orlando is they played yesterday, and they beat Phoenix. That was a correct lean for me on the show yesterday. Orlando on a back-to-back now, though, but they are at least staying at home. I think I do actually still lean towards Orlando, even though they are on a back-to-back. Because they're on the back-to-back, the Hawks are probably going to be a little bit overpriced here because that has to get factored into the line. The Hawks are minus 4.5, 66% of tickets on them, 61% of the cash on Orlando. I don't disagree with that. I would lean to the Magic in that one as well, getting points at home in a spot like that. But both teams, might be likely to show up in that one, though. But maybe Orlando just a little bit more. But then again, Orlando, I don't love playing teams on no rest either. ESPN has a doubleheader. The first game up is Boston at Miami. My Boston Celtics, they're going to try to bounce back. The Celtics have a decent cushion right now over the Knicks because the Knicks lost last night. So the Celtics are leading for that number 2 seed by 2.5 games right now. So maybe some motivation still for the Celtics. Celtics, under Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics have been really good at bouncing back off of losses. Tatum did not play in that game. They lost to Atlanta on Monday. Maybe they will show up for a game against the Heat. The Heat are trying to avoid the play-in, though. The Heat are pretty good at home, 24-14. Celtics are actually as good on the road, though, 24-14 on the road. Celtics, not a bad road team by any means. Let me see here. What was I? Oh, I was looking at the injury report. It looks like everybody's going to be in there for the Celtics. Ron Harper Jr. is a game time decision, but other than that, I believe, isn't he the guy that made that very famous, maybe not that famous anymore, three-pointer buzzer beater in the NCAA tournament for Georgia State when they beat Baylor? I won money on that game, by the way, back in the day. Wasn't that him? And his coach was his father, and his coach fell out of his chair. Do you guys remember that? It was like a 13 versus 4 upset or something like that, or 14 versus 3 maybe. I don't know. I think it was like a 9.5 point upset. I had money on the points, and now I don't know. I'm rambling now. My bracket autism, and then for the Heat, Andrew Wiggins is a game time decision, so I don't know. Things to look out for there. He's questionable. He'll probably play, though, would be my guess. Celtics are a deep team, though, so Harper being in or out doesn't really matter. For Miami is coming up beating Philadelphia in their last game, and Miami might have a little bit extra motivation here because they're trying to avoid the play-in. They get to play the Celtics at home on TV, so I really don't love the spot for the Celtics here, even though the Celtics are pretty good at bouncing back, but maybe not in this one. They're at -5. They're a public side, 76% of the tickets, 72% of the cash on the Celtics. I'm going to lean towards taking the points of the Heat, but it's not a strong opinion for me in that one. And obviously, I'm just going to root for the Celtics for my rooting interest there. Unfortunately, the Knicks have a pretty easy matchup here against Memphis, although the Knicks are not exactly in the greatest scheduling spot because they played last night in Houston, although they got pretty much blasted at Houston. But the Knicks are not very good on the road, man. Now, yeah, they're going to try to get up and try to salvage a game here, especially with the Celtics having a tough game tonight, possibly. The Knicks trying to close that gap there. I think the Knicks will probably actually show up, but they're playing on a back-to-back, third game in 4 days, all in different cities. That's not really that easy to do. But remember, last night they were kind of in a bad spot because they'd played Oklahoma City pretty tight in the prior game, which is a big effort from them. They should, I mean, I think they're going to at least win this game, but covering is a different story. Memphis is staying at home off a blowout loss to Phoenix and didn't play yesterday. And, you know, Memphis, they're a team just playing out the stretch here, but this might be one game that they will get up for against a playoff team, you know, playoffs where maybe they can play a little bit of a spoiler role here. The money is indicating on taking the points with Memphis for what that's worth. The Knicks dropped from 16.5 to 14.5 here. 76% of the tickets and only 66% of the cash on the Knicks. So the money is indicating towards the Grizzlies plus the points there. I mean, that game is definitely not one that I want any involvement in, though. I'm skipping this entire board, so, you know, I'm being really picky. Sacramento at Toronto. This is pretty ugly as well. Sacramento coming off of 4 straight losses here. They just got blown out by Brooklyn. I mean, that is an embarrassing loss. Maybe it's so embarrassing that maybe they will show up and try to at least get one game on the road trip here. But they're playing a third game in 4 days, I believe. Or no, they've had 2 days off, my mistake. So, yeah, actually, Sacramento does have a little bit of rest here. I can't do math anymore, calendar math anymore. How many days are in March? April Fools. No, yeah, so Sacramento has had 2 days off. So that's actually good considering that Toronto has had no days off. Toronto had to play Detroit last night on the road, and now they're having to return home from that. Now, Toronto does have motivation because they're also trying to avoid being in the play-ins in the East, but they're coming off a big game with no rest and travel. So I think you got to lean to the Kings in this spot, man. And Toronto is not a good home team either. And asking them to lay this many points, I think it's too many points. They're laying 13, 88% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Toronto. So money kind of indicating towards Toronto. I don't agree with it. I would lean towards taking the points, but, you know, it wouldn't shock me if the Kings just have a total no-show, too. So it's very hard to gauge that. Like, do you think the Kings are going to give you effort in that game is kind of the question that you have to answer there. Indiana at Chicago. This is ridiculous. Indiana, they're coming off a nice win over the Miami Heat. That was a big win for Indiana. I mean, Indiana has nothing really left to play for. So they're going to get up for certain games probably where they get to play spoiler perhaps, whatever. Their next 3 games are all bigger than this game against Chicago. They're playing Charlotte, Cleveland, Minnesota. So I think they might look past Chicago here. Problem is, I think Chicago is dealing with a lot of distractions here because of the stupid Jaden Ivey thing. They got rid of him just because he spoke out against Pride Night. And Chicago's also not really in a good spot either because they're returning home from a road trip. They've been on the road since last Wednesday, and they played San Antonio in their last game, although they lost by 15. But returning home from a road trip, not a good spot. So they might be distracted. They could easily overlook Indiana here because they got to play the Knicks in their next game, and that's a bigger game. It's on NBA TV. So it's a bad spot for both teams. So what does that mean? I think over is worth a look in this game. Again, I think the Bulls might be distracted because of the Ivy stuff too. As far as the side, the money is indicating on the Pacers. Bulls, 78% of tickets, only 53% of the cash on them. They're laying 4.5. I'm not necessarily going to disagree with the Pacers because the return home spot is really quite bad. So I'm not really going to disagree with the Pacers, but over makes a lot of sense to me. The problem with that is the total's already shot up from 242.5 all the way to 249 already. So, there's not much value in that over anymore, man. So it's got to be a stay away, but, I do think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Like, you have two teams that are in bad spots and are not going anywhere this year, so usually that combination all pretty much means you're not going to get really good defense out of these teams whatsoever. So it's going to be like basically a scrimmage, in my opinion. So over is my opinion in that game. Even still at that higher price, that's the way I would lean. But I don't think you want to really take it, losing that much value. Again, timing the market is important, and, losing that much value on the number is not something I would be really willing to do. So 52% of tickets on the under, 98% of the cash on the over, though I do think the over is the correct lean in that game nonetheless, though. Milwaukee at Houston. Milwaukee, pretty much nothing to play for them. Playing out the stretch here. They did just beat Dallas to end a losing streak, so maybe they'll carry that momentum into this game. Maybe they'll show up for a game against Houston, but they're on a back-to-back. So Milwaukee played last night. Now they have to travel to Houston. Milwaukee actually might get up more for their next game against the Celtics. Try to play, maybe slight spoiler there. Although the Celtics, I don't know how much they care about the 2 versus the 3. But the Celtics should care because it looks like we're really headed towards a Celtics-Knicks matchup in the second round of the playoffs. And having home advantage is going to be big because the Knicks are way better at home than they are on the road. Celtics are pretty good on the road, but the Celtics, they still want to be at home, man, for that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit here, but Milwaukee and Houston, I don't know how much Milwaukee's going to get up for this. They're on the back-to-back. Houston is also on a back-to-back, though, and they just had a really big win last night against the Knicks, so they could be in a letdown spot here. They only have Utah on deck, which isn't a big deal, but it looks like could simply be a letdown spot for Houston here. Houston has been a lot better at home than on the road, though, and the money is all coming in on Houston. 52% of the tickets are on the Bucks, 72% of the cash on Houston. They're up to 17.5. I would not lay that, though. You got a really low total of 218 here. Houston just hasn't been covering spreads either, so I know they just had a nice win and cover against the Knicks, but I think the letdown spot is worse for Houston here. I'd actually probably lean towards taking the points with the Bucks, although, again, the Bucks could potentially just not show up in that game, so that's kind of the risk you're taking there. Denver at Utah. Denver has actually been a decent road team, but they are coming off a nice win over Golden State. I mean, Golden State still carries a lot of weight behind their name, and Denver has a big game against San Antonio next, so this weird single road game against Utah doesn't look like the greatest spot for them. The question is Utah actually going to show up? I don't know. Utah's coming off a really tough game. They're staying at home, but they played Cleveland on Monday, and they played pretty close. They only lost by 9, and that game was tied with like 4 minutes to go or something like that in that game. So Utah pretty much put in an all-out effort against Cleveland in that game and fell short. So I don't love the spot for Utah coming off of that, even though they should get up for Denver. Denver just beat Utah in Denver, but only by 6. Back on Friday. So Denver actually might take Utah a little bit more seriously because of that, because Utah played them closer than expected. it's a tough read in this game. And again, I don't want anything to do with it. The Nuggets are laying 17 points, and the money is coming in on them. 77% of the cash on Denver, 58% of tickets on the Jazz. I don't like it, man. I really don't. I'd probably lean towards taking the points with the Jazz in that game still, but the money is indicating completely in the opposite direction there. And then the final game in the ESPN doubleheader is a game that would be better if Golden State didn't have a bunch of injuries, but it's San Antonio and Golden State. San Antonio still has a chance to leapfrog Oklahoma City, but they don't play each other again for the rest of the season, so it's unlikely they're going to be able to do that. But you never know. San Antonio, they're cruising right now. I mean, they have momentum. I mean, they're coming off some easy wins. Not really a horrible spot for them, really. For Golden State is coming off losing pretty badly in Denver, but they're returning home from Denver. That game was on Sunday, so they do have a couple of days off. They're not going to overlook San Antonio in a TV game, though, you know. So I think Golden State will get up for it, but Curry is still out for the Warriors, so they're just kind of playing out the stretch. The Spurs are laying 13.5 on the road here in a game with a total that's not that high in the 220s. 88% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the Spurs. I'm going to lean towards taking the points of the Warriors in that one, the Spurs public side there, but I don't have a good feel for really any of these NBA games today, man. I don't even know, like, what is even my strongest opinion in the NBA today? I don't even really have one. You know, I would actually probably say it would be the over in that Indiana-Chicago game, except that the line has gotten totally out of control. So, yeah, it's a bad NBA board today. All right, and then we have the college basketball crown before I get out of here. So this is weird. This is the second year of the college basketball crown. Last year, 16 teams were in it, and this year it's only 8. Now, the teams are incentivized to play in it because for each win that you get in this tournament, your school gets more NIL money. So that's what these teams are playing for, NIL money here. And the further you go in this tournament, the more you get out of this overall like NIL prize money pool. So 2 of the 4 first-round games are being played tonight. All these games are in Las Vegas. At least tonight's games are at the MGM Grand. I think the whole tournament is in Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. They might use 2 different arenas for it. Now, one thing to consider is that these games could be low scoring, especially early on, because I know the total in this first game is really high, which I'll talk about in a minute, but the games could be a bit lower scoring early on because the teams have to get used to this arena. You know what I mean? Like, these teams have been off for a long time. Like, these teams haven't played for like 2 weeks, basically, so that could make the offenses go cold and having to get used to the sight lines at this new arena in the MGM Grand. You know, the M, starting with an M and ending in a GM. They don't have the actual lion at the MGM Grand anymore, though. It's an empty cage. I've seen it. But, yeah, so you get what I'm saying. Like, unders in the first half kind of makes sense in games like this because these teams could come out not shooting well, having to get used to the sight lines and not having played offense in quite a while. Now, the first game is Oklahoma and Colorado. The way this tournament works is I believe the Big 12, Big 10, and Big East all got a 1 auto bid into this tournament, and I think it was like whoever the best team was that didn't make the NCAA tournament. Or so I don't even know if that's right because Oklahoma, I believe, got invited to the NIT, and they turned it down to play in this game. So I don't even know. Dude, I honestly don't even know how it works. But Oklahoma's not in one of those conferences. They're in the SEC, so I don't even know, dude. I honestly don't know exactly how it was determined who's playing in this thing. Oklahoma seems like they want to be here, though, because, again, they explicitly turned down the NIT to play in this. It seems like they want the NIL money. They're playing Colorado, and this line has gone up from 6 to 10 on Oklahoma. And the reason for that is Colorado basically has nobody playing in this game. So this is basically becoming like a bowl game where Oklahoma seems like they kind of want to be here. Colorado, like 3 of their best players are opting out of this game and hitting like the transfer portal. So this is the new age, man, with the transfer portal. It's like, why is Colorado even here then? If, you know, they're going to have guys just opt out of this. It's dumb, dude. It really is. And the incentive is a little bit more in games like this because you can get your school NIL money. You know what I mean? Whereas, like in the bowls, I don't think that's the case. I don't know. Maybe in the bowls it is still the case. I don't like just playing in the bowl might give you money. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I don't think I would want to fade Oklahoma though. Colorado, I mean, yeah, sometimes your backups will get up and sometimes the line will overreact to too many guys being out on the other side. You know what I mean? But Colorado's going to have some backups that haven't played that much coming in. And, yeah, they'll be excited to play, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, man. 63% of tickets, 64% of the cash on Oklahoma. Oklahoma certainly should win this game. I don't want to lay 10 points either, though. I mean, this is a stay away from me for sure. The total is also high in the 160s. I think maybe partially because Colorado is just not going to have some of their better defenders here. I don't know. I think the total might be too high, though, because Oklahoma does actually play slow, I'm pretty sure. They're a weird team where they actually are a really good offense, but they play slow. They take a lot of threes. Colorado, I don't think, is that good at defending the three. So I don't know. I mean, the money is slightly coming in towards the under, though. 59% of tickets on the over, 55% of the cash on the under. The total, 166 is quite high. If you wanted to go under first 5 innings, and go with these teams to start slow, like I said, in an unfamiliar arena with the offenses having been off for so long. I don't hate that approach, but I don't really want to do it, man. The second game looks like it's more of an under-conducive game, although, of course, that's why the total is so low at 148.5. It's actually gone up a little bit, which is Baylor and Minnesota. 65% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the over there. By the way, one other thing to consider is how did these teams finish? Oklahoma almost pulled off an upset. Like, they made a nice run, a little run in the SEC tournament, if you remember, and they almost beat, who was it, Arkansas? I think it was Arkansas. So Oklahoma is coming off a game where they almost pulled off a big upset. So that is something to consider. Like, when that was the last time a team played and they put in a huge effort, and almost pulled off an upset, I don't love that team in the next game, so I don't love Oklahoma for that reason, whereas Colorado bowed out of the Big 12 almost immediately. But then again, it looks like Colorado's just not caring about this game. Baylor and Minnesota, they both had early exits from their conference tournaments, so there's nothing to really see there. I think they're both going to be motivated in this game. It looks like neither team has opt-outs here, so I think you're going to get the full complement of players in this one. It makes it easier to handicap. Baylor's a 4-point favorite, and I actually think rightfully so. I think people have this game a little bit wrong. It looks like the money is coming in on Baylor. 72% of tickets, 89% of the cash on Baylor. I actually agree mostly with Baylor in this one. I think Baylor is actually the better team, and I think Baylor has been very unlucky this year and underperformed quite a bit. I don't know if Ken Palm up right now, but I think Baylor was pretty low in his luck index. Like, Baylor was in like the top 50 in Ken Palm's rankings, I think, at the end of the season, whereas Minnesota, I think, was probably about in the 70s or so. So Baylor is actually the better team, and people might not think that because Baylor made no noise this year, and they look pretty ugly. Baylor plays a weird style where, kind of like Oklahoma, Baylor is playing slow, but they have a good offense this year and not a good defense, I believe is the case. So that is one thing from Minnesota here is they actually do have the better defense. So Minnesota, they play slow as well, but they're way better on defense than offense. So better defense, getting points. Sometimes I do like to look that way. That is something that's in favor of Minnesota here. But I think I still like Baylor in this one, man. I just think they're overall the better team, and I think looking at the team's records, I think makes Baylor look worse than they actually are. Like, looking at the team's records, well, both teams actually finished with pretty bad records. But a 500 team, people are not going to want to lay that many points with a 500 team. So, against another team that was close to 500. So, those are my thoughts on that. And then Oklahoma, people are probably not even going to want to lay 10 with Oklahoma, at a pretty bad record there. But Colorado, again, just not even, I was going to say not fielding an entire team here. They're not courting an entire team here. They're not wooing their players enough, which is actually true. They're not incentivizing their players to actually play in this game. Anyway, location-wise, yeah, Colorado actually probably has a location edge out of all these teams playing in Vegas, but that's not really going to matter when they're basically their team just has too many opt-outs, man. So I don't like it. I don't want to do anything with any of these games. An under in the second game kind of makes sense to me in a way because it looks like it's going to be a lower scoring game. But I worry because Baylor is a much more offensive team and their defense is not that good. So if both teams are slow defensive teams, I would agree with that. But then again, the total would be a lot lower if that was the case. So, but, first half, I think I said first 5 innings. I'm in baseball mode, man. First half under makes sense, though, because teams are going to have to get used to the sight lines and whatever, you know what I mean? And that could affect Oklahoma's three-point shooting early in their game, too, because teams that take more threes tend to get more affected by having to get used to the sight lines, which we're going to talk about that in the Final Four. That's a huge, I don't want to say huge, but it's more impactful in the Final Four because they're playing in this massive football stadium, so the sight lines really get kind of fucked up. But we'll talk about that when we get to Saturday, man. But anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts on the Crown, the first 2 games. I think the second game is going to be kind of more exciting to watch than the first game, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. It's more college basketball, so there is that. That's going to do it. My plays today, we have 3 baseball plays. Chicago Cubs run line or -1 run line. Or if you want to do a split bet, make your own -1 run line. On the -1.5 run line and money line, you could do that too. We're going under in Yankees Seattle again. Maybe you can find a 7.5 at a cheaper price. If it's 7.5 at -120 or cheaper, I would probably do it that way. But for now, 7 was the better price I could find. And we're going under the 8.5 in Minnesota, Kansas City as well. That's going to do it. All baseball, man. We're in baseball mode for sure. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have more to talk about. The NIT, I believe, resumes tomorrow. And I believe the NIT semifinals or is it? Yeah, I think the NIT semifinals are tomorrow. So we're gonna talk about that. That's gonna do it for now, man. And Final Four upcoming over the weekend. We're gonna have more baseball to talk about. Tomorrow's a very small baseball slate, so at least there's that. It'll be a shorter show tomorrow for that reason. But there's gonna be more hockey. So all right. I'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate it, guys. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. Give me good replies here. I hope everybody's okay. I hope Mr. Pinsey didn't run away because I yelled at him the other day. I think he came back the next day, but I missed some of these guys. Mr. Pinsey, Jeffrey. Hopefully everybody's all right. Hopefully people are going to come back. We're on audio as well with the show, so you can check it out there. Apple, Spotify. That helps me out. Covered in Uke, my YouTube Uke channel, patreon.com/learn-to-toad. I know I got to, as I always say, I got to get more stuff going on for the Patreon. I got to figure something out there. Give me a break, man. It's my birthday tomorrow. Come on, man. And what else? Losercast. We had an episode last night. I was not a fan of it last night. No, I can say it because nobody's going to watch this show, so there you go. I was not a fan of it. Technical issues, the audio quality that our guest had was unbelievably bad. I'm not going to lie. It was torture for me to be in that show last night. So, I don't know. I would say watch it, but I can't even justify watching last night's episode, to be honest. Hopefully we're back to normal next week with a better loser cast. I apologize for last night's show, but, I should have been more vocal about we got to make sure that our guests actually have audio quality that's not the shittiest audio quality that I've ever seen. So, or heard. Yankee smack. What are we? I don't even know. Is he a Yankee fan? I don't even know what's going on here. Or you guys are Yankee fans? I have no idea. I don't know who you guys root for. I thought you guys were all New Englanders. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, you can let me know. That's gonna do it though. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna have some lunch in a minute too, and see if I can get, a Weezer ticket that's a decent seat that's not that expensive if I can. Because I like Weezer, so. All right, well, I prefer you guys over Pinsey. I knew it. Go Red Sox. Dude, the Red Sox, they're not going to be this bad for the remainder of the season, okay? It's going to start today. They'll get the win with Crochet on the mound. Come on. They better. But that's going to do it for now, man. Peace.